Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just got back from seeing Kick-Ass 2, which, right off the bat, I am this happy that they just gave it a number for the sequel. They didn't come up with any of that stupid stuff, which I'll get into in a second. But yes, my review for Kick-Ass 2, which actually, screw that. We're going to start with that. Right off, like the movie. And you know why? Because, like I said, this is Kick-Ass 2, simple. Too often, I hate marketeers sometimes because they are stupid sometimes. They are just plain idiotic. Just give numbers to sequels now. I mean, it gets kind of ridiculous when you got to do. Oh no, we can't have just The Matrix 2. It's got to be The Matrix Reloaded. What was fucking Reloaded? Explain that to me. Revolutions, there was no real revolution of anything. The first one was more of a revolution. I mean, the Terminator series at least mixed it up until Salvation. At least it was Terminator 2 Judgment Day as a subtitle, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines subtitle. At least there was still 1, 2, 3 there, and then of course Terminator Salvation. Just what was salvaged? Not the franchise, that's what I'll tell you. At least Blade was another series that did that. Blade 2, great. Then they had Blade Trinity. Can you guys give us a 3? So right there, non-pretentious, it's 2. It's just a sequel. We're not hiding it. So I like that. They didn't come up with a subtitle. It's just Kick-Ass 2. Now, as for the actual movie, I really enjoyed it. It feels like very much a natural extension to the first movie, which is really impressive because directorial and writing duties were switched over in between movies. The first movie had Matthew Vaughn as both one of the writers and director, and he did not come back for Kick-Ass 2. And normally you get a very strong directional whiplash. I mean, if you just lose a director but everyone else stays the same, you're good. Or if it's just one of the writers, but the fact that he was a writer and director, and let's face it, just by how the movie's set up, I didn't read the Kick-Ass 2 comic, but Mark Millar was kept under control. But really good job of really feeling like a natural extension. They're using the same music from the first one. I had no big difference noticed. Characters feel very naturally progressed. So big kudos to new director and screenwriter to at least this franchise. Jeff Wadlow did an excellent job. I'm very happy. If you're wondering, you never heard the guy's name, he directed Never Back Down, which is... I can't complain about the directorial stuff, it's just the story is stupid. But it was shot okay, I guess. I remember watching that one in college, and I think it was just the ending was just hilarious. But, I think this is he also directed Cry Wolf, which I did not see, but he's also the upcoming director of X-Force, which is going to be interesting. So this is his first dive into the Marvel comic book movie making, I guess. So it's going to be interesting. I think he's got a very good setup, and maybe we'll see some Kick-Ass alum coming in here for that. And I don't see anybody queued up. I'm not an X-Force fan, so I don't know who you would have for what. But I hope, I think we're all kind of hoping at least that Chloe Grace Moretz, I cannot pronounce her name, gets in that movie. She does, again, a great role as Hit Girl. It's a very Hit Girl-centric movie, but I think after the first movie, let's face it, that was everyone's favorite character. I think even fans of the comic, most of them said that Hit Girl's their favorite character. She has the most interesting story. And this one really is about her character development, although it's still supposed to focus on Kick-Ass's character, Dave, or Kick-Ass Dave. So it is kind of a weird narrative in that case, in that we are following Dave. He's the main character, yet the person that shows, he doesn't really change throughout the movie. Which, again, I've argued you can do that with certain characters. It's them. You don't have to have a character change if it's showing the strength. And that's the point. And in this movie, I can buy that. He doesn't have a character arc, but he has a character challenge, where you're challenging that character to change, and he resists, and he stays the path of being what he wants to be, what he knows he should be, what he feels is in his heart, what he should be. And so he has all these temptations, all these things trying to pull him and stop him from being Kick-Ass, from doing his superhero thing. And that's fine. As a narrative device, that is when you don't need to have a character arc. It's basically what I would call a character resistance. Can this person persevere through this? You can easily mess up that route, and just look at a lot of 50s was like that, where the characters don't change, but the challenge of overcoming that, of the things thrown in front of them, not as difficult. It's why it's cookie cutter, as you would say. Not cookie cutter, but this really simplified. Villains are just obviously evil. It's not like this, where it's like slight spoiler alert, your father kind of winds up sacrificing his life so you don't have to be stuck in the life that he winds up taking a hit for you. And if you've seen the movie, you know that. I'm trying to explain that part without really spoiling it. But that's fine. And then you see the actual character. Well, she has a character arc. And at Hit Girl, we get to really see the full fallout from the fact, and them addressing the fact of this girl who had her childhood taken away by her father to raise her as a crime-fighting vigilante. And I will admit, though, as much as fun as Hit Girl's character is when she's Hit Girl, and as I think is giving a point to the movie as much as possible, of having some sort of real philosophical point to make, it is the Hit Girl scenes that drag it out, and that's because it's her dealing with high school drama. And it's, at the end of the day, it kind of is like pointing out, at least it goes with this, at least it's pointing out that high school drama is fucking pointless. Now this really doesn't even appeal to me, because looking back even at my own high school years, we never had any of that type of typical crap you'd see. Now, I don't know if everyone else is. That might just be a thing to where I was in New Jersey. Schools were way too big around here for you to have those type of cliques and, oh, that's the popular group. I was my graduating class size was over 1,000 in my high school. You could blend in. You could, no one could be that popular. You can't have, literally, our maximum circle of friends and people which can be maxed out in a high school where you can know your graduating class. You wouldn't even really know the names of more than a quarter of people, of the junior class in my high school. And I think to a large degree that's why I didn't see, at least in my own high school experience this type of stuff. And really, the nerds were kind of running the school when I was there. I'm not even, our football team, the biggest Star Wars nerds were the captains of the football team, 2 years running. And we had a decent team, too. People be talking about Jedis and stuff in the fucking locker room when I was on the track team. So, yeah. So, really, the high school drama part drags it for me, not appealing. And really, there's a lot of scenes where it's like, considering that Chloe Moretz, I can never pronounce her name. I hate this. I should be able to, I know. Is playing Carrie in the Carrie remake. Some of these scenes you're really like, is this how she got that role? Did one of the producers in the Carrie remake, it was like on set. It was like, she kind of reminds me of Carrie. I'm doing a Carrie movie. I'm gonna cast her. Like, really? I mean, she's a fine actress. Don't get me wrong. It's in this movie, it really drags it out. It's in the middle. Again, it has the point because her character point is her father, her guardian, I should say, the cop from that used to be her father's partner, is taking care of her. He's trying to get her to become a normal person. He feels that what Big Daddy did was wrong to her. He took away her childhood. He made her this killing machine. And yeah, at first she's kind of doing like the whole sneaking out at night to do this, and eventually they have the real talk where he gets her to really try to give it up, and he provides really good points to do that, and he provides a very good argument that you really can't argue with, and she really gives it a shot. She tries to become popular. Of course, it's the bitchy, typical queen bee females that again, from my own high school experience, I don't think really existed. Yeah, I think there were girls that were kind of like that, but it's not like they were. Again, I think that had more to do with class size. Probably had to do with class size and the fact that, yeah, even the rich ones weren't that like that. Again, it might have to do with the culture, just the area. Again, I wasn't a teenage girl, so maybe it was different if you were a female, but at least as far as I can tell, it wasn't like that. The athletes ran the school, I guess, but nobody really cared. You know what? That's the other thing. Maybe there's shit to do around here. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I know, but I think that's the other thing. It's like we're in Jersey. It's a nice suburb-ish area, Toms River. So we've got a beach. We've got a lot of beaches. You got the boardwalk. We've got malls. We've got other places. You got diners that are open 24/7 all over the place. Pizzerias. You've got a couple of arcades that are still around. The others, parks, a lot of parks, places you can get away from it. Yeah, we got a town of 100,000 people. It's not like you're stuck in the city. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Trying to explain this. Getting distracted by doing that. So she does. Now, when she actually becomes Hit Girl, again, she's great. She's great in the scenes where she's Hit Girl. It's when she's playing Mindy. While it's, again, philosophically interesting, it's not like they really drag it technically story-wise or character-wise. Story-wise, yes, it drags. Character-wise, you see the interesting is her pull that she tries to get into becoming a high school girl. Realizes that's not for her eventually by the end. And they do have that hilarious when she finally gives up. She goes, you girls are evil. I don't have to care about you. I don't really care about you, but you're being evil. You're screwing with these other people, and I'm going to stand up for justice. So she sticks them with the 6-stick. Yeah, that thing that's supposedly, I'm not sure if it's actually real. I've heard of these talked about in other things, so I'm not sure if they actually exist, or at least they're theoretically possible. But you stick them, and they basically make you like puke and shit. And so she starts hitting them with those in the freaking cafeteria. So that's enjoyable. I was really hoping there's a scene where they kind of like do a date ditch, which where I was really hoping that she was just gonna like, oh, that's what's gonna happen, and she just like kick everyone's ass there. That would have been a better payoff for the kind of the kind of bring those girls into like, no, you're dealing with someone that's, you have no fucking idea who you're dealing with situation. That would have been better. I digress. Dave's story, Kick-Ass's story, it's interesting. I actually kind of like it. Again, it's him trying to get more Hit Girl to go join them. He winds up joining a team of superheroes. And what I like with him, at least, as he joins these other groups, is they really acknowledge the first movie still took place. While he doesn't automatically become somehow a super badass, he does a little bit of training with Hit Girl before she does her "I'm gonna try a normal life" thing. So he gets some training to get his skills boosted back up. But at least it acknowledges he's been in a fight before. He's done some crazy stuff. He's seen a little bit. So when he starts teaming up with these new people, it does acknowledge he is no longer that guy in that first scene where he gets into a fight outside of a convenience store. Like, he can fight. He's not a very good fighter, but against some like random thug, he can kind of hold his own, although if it's a couple guys, he's going to get his ass kicked. He can resist for a little while, though. It shows that there's a clear level of progression. They don't though fall into the trap of all of a sudden making him complete badass. So they do a really good transition there, especially as like when he teams up with his first buddy, like Dr. Gravity, and he's like, you've never actually been in a fight before. You gotta see the look on his face, because at least he has had the shit kicked out of him. So I like how they acknowledge that. I like, of course, fucking, here's someone who's caused a little bit of headlines with his performance here. Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes, causing some controversy by kind of saying the movie, before it comes out, saying the movie was too violent for him. It's too violent, which basically made everyone want to see it even more. I don't think that was planned, though. But I love his portrayals, Colonel Stars and Stripes, especially when they're in the Tri-Hat whorehouse, and you've seen this in the trailer. Yeah, there's a dog on your balls. It's that even in the movie that comes off as kind of funny. And they at least gave him a really interesting story. Like, apparently he was the Mark Strong's character. He was like an enforcer for that mob guy back in the day, and he became a born-again Christian or something. And decided to use all his old fighting techniques to kind of actually do good now instead of evil, which I like that. Actually, speaking of Mark Strong, I guess we'll go into they have Christopher Mintz-Plasse doing Chris D'Amico, aka he comes up with a superhero name, the Motherfucker. His character is kind of funny, though. You kind of are wondering how much money can he have? He seems like a guy that would have blown the money already. I mean, granted, he kind of accidentally kills his mom and inherits like all the money from his father, and you gotta get the impression this movie takes place only over the course of weeks or months at the most. So, okay, maybe he hasn't a chance to blow all that money yet. This is how he's blowing it. But yeah, how he tries to become a supervillain by dressing up in his mom's S&M outfits. I love John Leguizamo's reaction to when he sees him dressed up. Like, what the fuck are you doing? By the way, yeah, John Leguizamo's in this movie. There's a lot of cameos. You see, Chuck Liddell is in this movie as himself. Yeah, he's got a funny little cameo, and they don't feel out of place cameos. And speaking of cameos, especially with him, Ian Glenn shows up, and I love Ian Glenn because he's probably the most intimidating motherfucker you will see in this movie, and he has like the fewest lines. He's like in one scene, and all he has to do is basically stare at the camera, and you're like, oh crap. I kind of wonder if they're gonna do a Kick-Ass 3, if he's gonna be the villain, which I'm all for. If you don't know Ian Glenn, Game of Thrones, Sir Mormont, Jorah Mormont with Khaleesi, Sir Friendzoned. I guess see, that's why he seems like such a badass. Motherfucker survived season 3 of Game of Thrones, and he was an episode 1 character. You gotta have to be badass. I mean, hell, Jason Momoa didn't even make it through season 1. So I love his. But he played Dr. Isaacs in Resident Evil Apocalypse, or well, yeah, Apocalypse and Extinction. So he has a really good little performance in there, as just being the intimidating uncle that's really running the family from behind bars, though. And of course, they have this insane character. Was it again? They have the motherfucker come up. Like, he forms his own team by basically looking for hired muscle that he can just like pay, and he pays them to dress up in the costumes, but they're like criminal muscle. And one of them he hires is a Russian who apparently ate her cellmate to get out of prison in Siberia, and he names her Mother Russia. Who, by the way, winds up killing a ton of cops in one scene. Her death, too, is like... She has an interesting death, to say the least. That character was a lot of fun. Especially, and they, of course, have her being the actual badass. She's actually the hit girl to Motherfucker, as Kick-Ass is the hit girl, where they're kind of a joke, but she's like the real fucking insane deal. So, of course, in the final battle, which, by the way, they somehow, by tweeting out on Twitter, they get all these superheroes, the people that want to be superheroes, to join up to fight the Motherfucker's army of people that want to be supervillains. And, of course, in that you have Hit Girl and Mother Russia have a fucking battle to the death. And that was a fun little movie. It certainly has the violence. Oh my, yeah, this movie. When Hit Girl's fighting a bunch of mobsters on a highway, and she's kicking them out of the van, and they're getting run over. There's a couple times it looks like they just threw bodies out of a van and ran them over. So if you're looking for some violence, you'll find it here. I don't think there's like. I didn't watch, for whatever reason, I did not watch Kick-Ass 1 before seeing this. It's been a little while. Actually, probably wind up rewatching it this weekend. So I'm not sure if this is as violent as the first one. It's close to it, if it's not. So it's certainly a hard R. But I'm glad to see that nowadays. I for whatever reason, we've gone too much with the PG-13 movies. Get us some hard R action films now. Come on. I feel like just by making a PG-13, they also baby them too much. This is kind of show what fun you can have with an actual R-rated action film. Now, I'm not saying every movie has to be R, and I'm not like a gorehound where I get, like, I kind of don't want to see a PG-13, an R-rated Bond film. I don't think it's needed. But there are some films that I would like to see us go back a little bit to the old school, like 80s style. I digress. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Go see this film. I think I've rambled on enough about it. There's a ton of stuff I haven't talked about from this movie. Ton of fun scenes. A lot of laughs in this. I had some fun with this one, so definitely check it out. It's, the dog days of summer. You gotta kill off some time, which is why you spent the past 25 minutes listening to me ramble. Go to the movies. This one's certainly worth checking out, although I maybe should have saw something else tonight. Because I got the tickets, and I'm all set up. I'm going to the theater, and then I look over to see what's also playing today, after I got the tickets, and it was RiffTrax Live, Starship Troopers, and I was like, oh, I probably really should have saw that instead, because that's like a one-time. I'm sure RiffTrax. You know what? I have to make up for that now. Next time I see a RiffTrax, and yeah, some of you out there are like just like, you're fucking dead to me, because I know a lot of you out there probably are fans of Mystery Science Theater, and I'm sure a lot of you are not by a theater that actually has those Phantom events that they'll show live for that, especially if you're out like in the sticks. See, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. This is Tom's River. We got stuff to do. We can do stuff. We get things like that coming in. So yeah, I really should have sat and watched that. I'm gonna get the next one. Next time there's a RiffTrax live, I'll do it. It'll probably be in a couple months. I know this is not the first time they've done the RiffTrax live stuff, so I'll see what the next one is. But I'm just kicking myself for not having that. I mean, at least I didn't see a bad movie. At least I saw something I enjoyed. At least I didn't go see Jobs, which is the other movie. Yeah, there's already been a Steve Jobs movie. It's called Pirates of Silicon Valley. You see that, you've seen the movie. Because that one takes a much broader and probably much more honest look at what was going on in the late 70s and 80s in Silicon Valley. What was really going on with the stealing, who was really being innovative, who's really just a douchebag, which Jobs is, instead of this kind of being the hipster movie of Jobs. The image that he wants us to think, or that Apple wants us to think of Jobs. Not really to the reality of what he was. Not very even a big innovator. He took other technology and just figured out with marketing to make people think it was cool and innovative. Not much with Apple is actually cool and innovative. Wozniak was the innovator that made actual technology. Jobs' genius was just marketing the stuff. And really, look at Apple. What have they really produced that's new? What real new technology did they have? And have they made? Because almost anything you can name on even their first iPods or just MP3 players. When they came out, there were other MP3 players that could play the same amount of videos. All the technology they use comes from something else, which is probably why we're going to have another time in the future, probably another 10 years, you're going to see them on the brink of bankruptcy again. And they're not going to be able to probably innovate the luck out this time. I don't know. Why am I getting sidetracked? I'm trying to think if they were. I saw the Carrie. We'll go. Let's do trailers real quick. I saw the Carrie trailer. I might check that one out. I'm not sure if anything else is coming out that week. What else? There really wasn't much else of notice. The 300 Rise of an Empire. Interesting. We'll see how that goes. I'll be curious I think they're doing. I forget the name of the battle, but the naval battle it's following Athens really now. So I'm wondering if that's what the rise of the empire is. Is the Athenians, after defeating the Persians, of course using what was it? I don't think it was the Peloponnesian League. I think the Peloponnesian League was Sparta's coalition. But whatever their league, and they created the Athenian Empire through this alliance to keep the Persians out. I haven't read did they even release the comic book? Anyway, sequel to 300. I'll check that out. It might just be a little overdone though. You're Next. I saw. It's a. Why does it? Okay, I'll hold off on this. If it takes place in the 80s or maybe early 90s, I'll excuse why the fuck is no one pulling out their cell phone and calling for help. Yeah, it's another one of those Family Under Siege movies. And if they can't answer that, then I want to hear it. At least The Purge came up with an entirely new frickin' world in order to justify it. Outside of that, I had nothing that really rings a bell that I remembered. I was hoping for the X-Men First Class trailer because it was kind of leaked, and I did see that leak. But nope, no sign of it here. Because I had that really crappy version of the leak. I know some people had better ones, where it's the like 40 seconds of somebody like off on the side filming a screen. So that's it. Let's see what's coming out next week real fast. Let's see, the 23rd. Oh, The World's End. Yeah, I'm gonna check that. I'll be at that one. Devil's Pass Limited. if we get the Devil's Pass, I might wind up checking that one too. But the World's End will be the primary, and really, I think that's it. Is there anything coming up on the 30th, that following week? I think I looked at this last time, and no, there's nothing. So yeah, that'll mark the end. The World's End will be the end of the summer movie season. I'll be doing a wrap up video of the summers. What was the good ones, what were the bad ones? So we are approaching the end of 2013 summer, and I'll hold off on saying anything about that until we actually are there. Alright, and well, with that, signing off, guys. Hope you check out the movie, enjoy it. If you like the review, please like, subscribe, share it around, embed it in forums. If you don't like, well, that is your opinion, and you're free to have it. Post in the comments if you wish. All the other fun stuff that everyone says at the end of their videos. Signing off.